welcome to another episode of Wiseacious Women. I'm Philippa Yielström, and I am in the middle of my life using all of my wisdom and audaciousness to be wiseacious and make this next year the year when everything changed for me in my life. Today's episode is all about review, reflecting, and the power that can have in our lives and how that can help us to create change. Now, you've probably just turned off because I went review and reflect, and you went, oh, yawn, oh, I've got to evaluate something. This, though, is fun because I'm going to be talking about seasonal reviews. I choose to do a seasonal review for two reasons. Number one, I'm a woman and I feel the seasons. Number two, I live in the Nordics, here in Sweden. And if you were to look on the globe, you'd realize just how far north it is, how close we are towards the Arctic Circle. And so our seasons are quite extreme. We have these cold, dark winters that mean we perhaps only really have 6 hours of daylight, and sometimes it feels like only 4 hours of daylight. And even then, I kind of want to turn up the light. It's as though the whole of the world is on a dimmer, and you want to kind of go up and turn up the light and go, actually, I just want more sun, more daylight. Come on, turn up the sun. And also, we have the other extreme. So in the summer, we have incredibly long days with lots and lots of light, and there is a lot more energy in my body. I get a lot more done. I stay up longer. I can sleep less. Not the same during the winter time. And so I take into account where I'm living, and also the fact that I do get affected by the moon cycle, by the seasons as a woman. And so I've chosen specifically to do seasonal reviews rather than go on the calendar quarter. And I do a seasonal review for my personal life, for my business, and also I do one together with my husband. And so some of the podcast I recorded when I was away with my husband over a weekend, talking about the seasonal review. I was standing outside by the water on the Saturday evening, and so you can hear the wind, the birds, the water in the background. And so the sound, of course, is different between when I'm in the studio here recording and when I'm standing outside. I do want to share, though, that footage with you because you can really feel where I am in that space when I'm doing my seasonal review. There is a sense of focus and also a sort of deep connection with myself. And when I'm doing it together with my husband, a connection with him as well. It really is a very special time to stop 4 times a year for yourself and give yourself this lovely time to reflect and see what you've achieved and plan for the coming season. Before we dive in, if you're watching this on YouTube, do click subscribe to my channel so that you know when the next episode is landing, and give me a thumbs up. I also really appreciate comments. That gives us the opportunity to have a short conversation with one another and for you to ask any questions, share your insights. Perhaps you end up changing something in your life because of something that you've been listening to that I've been talking about. So do let me know, do share it with me. So for this seasonal review, my husband and I booked ourselves in for 2 nights at an Airbnb south of Stockholm on the water. The weather actually wasn't that good that weekend. There was a lot of rain. It was very windy. And then on the Saturday evening, suddenly the skies cleared and we were able to sit down by the water. And that's where some of this podcast recording today comes from. It is a beautiful evening here. It was windy earlier on today, and the wind has dropped as the sun is going down behind me right now. And so it suddenly feels so much warmer. And I am spending this weekend doing my seasonal review with my husband. And it is such a wonderful, intense experience when we sit down together and look back on the season that has been, what we've achieved, and decide what we want to achieve together the coming season. So we're planning right now for the autumn season, and we're finishing off the summer season together. And I highly recommend that everybody takes time every quarter, whether you want to do it like the calendar quarters or whether you want to do it as a seasonal review like I choose to do. We have questions that we look at. We spend time, we give ourselves time, and we sit and we talk and we reflect. Sometimes we think, we simply think. We're in silence and noting, writing things down, or simply sitting and thinking. And we've learned a lot together doing these seasonal reviews, learning a lot about one another's personalities and how we work together around something like this. For example, we realized how important it is for both of us to have looked at the questions that are guidelines for our seasonal review and have reviewed and reflected. So reviewed our previous document, reflected on what we've achieved, the current situation, and even started to think of ideas of plans for the future, the coming season. And we needed to do this on our own because we're two different people, two different personalities. So we realized that we needed to both prepare separately, and it takes time to think. TTT, thinking takes time, and also it takes energy. We shouldn't underestimate the energy that it requires, and therefore we made sure that we took time and took breaks. And so we've learned from that. We actually go away for 2 nights, and it doesn't have to be super expensive. It can be an Airbnb. We're at an Airbnb this time, down by the water. And then we share things with us, share what we have really enjoyed together, what we dream about for the future. And then we make decisions. We go, okay, if this is what we would like to happen in the future, what are the first steps to make this happen? And we write them down. What do we need to do in the coming week? I say week deliberately, so that we get started on the things that we intend to do. The seasonal reviews that my husband and I have been doing this past year has meant that we have planned and completed garden projects we perhaps otherwise wouldn't have done. We decided to have a family retreat weekend, which we then have recently done as well. It can be quite practical things. We suddenly realize that there are changes we want to make to our house, things that we want to buy, and then we decide when this project is going to happen, what resources we need, what support we need. It becomes an opportunity for us to really get creative and consider what is it that we want? What defines for us the good life? When we did our very first seasonal review, we made sure that we started it on one day and continued the following day. Then the second time we did it, we decided we'd actually go away and booked ourselves into a hotel. Then we realized, I think we need even more time, because there was travel time to the hotel, and then of course you're checking out the following morning. We felt that there was more time packing and traveling, and that we weren't actually spending very much time discussing and thinking and giving it thinking time as well, going for a walk, having a break. This third time that we've done it, we booked ourselves in for 2 nights away. Now, I appreciate not everybody has the opportunity that we have to be able to go away as we have grown-up children. There will be other people that are interested in using this tool and have children at home. Then I suggest do it over several evenings when the children are doing other things or have gone to bed, and you have some time. Even if you're feeling tired, those are the times when we're feeling relaxed and tired, where we can actually be really creative. And it's a really beautiful experience to be able to, in 3 months' time, meet again around the wording, around the intentions and focus on areas and dreams and ideas that we had 3 months ago, and come back and revisit it and discover what we've done and discover what we haven't done, and discuss, why didn't that happen? What was it that we didn't do last season to set ourselves up for success? What do we need to do this season to make sure that we have set ourselves up for success, to make sure that we really will be able to make this idea become reality. And so we're not perfect human beings. We don't set up intentions and then, woohoo, 3 months later, you just tick it off and you go, yep, we've really nailed that one. There are things that we've nailed and things that we're like, yeah, we didn't do that. Or we didn't do that to the extent that we really wanted to do that. What happened? And so we take the time together to work it out. What is it that we need to do this season so that we're more likely to succeed as each season goes past? So that we become a more cohesive team and we become closer. And we talk about everything in our marriage, the intimacy part as well. And we have questions that we reflect on and review. And so the conversations are about our businesses, about our personal life, about our personal dreams, and about the dreams that we have as a marriage. It's all areas of our lives. And so we really take this time. How many couples do that? We are investing time in our marriage because we've committed for the rest of our lives to be together and we want it to succeed. So there are things that we have learned as a couple around doing our seasonal review that I want to share with you today. And then, of course, there are things that I've learned from doing my own personal and business review. So number one, put it in your calendar. If you don't have it in your calendar, like as not, it's not going to happen. I then also created a document that I follow. So I don't have to think up the questions every time. And then over the years, I've improved some of the questions so that they serve me better and get me focused in the right areas. The second thing I've learned about doing a seasonal review is, if possible, go and sit somewhere else. I will take myself off to a cafe, or I will sit in a different place in the house where I normally wouldn't sit to do my work. I'm not in front of this computer when I'm doing my seasonal review. I will go and sit in my art studio, for example, with a completely different view out over the water. It helps to inspire me more. I make sure that when I'm doing it, I might then go out for a walk. If it's in the warmer months of the year, then I will go and sit in my garden. I make sure that I'm putting myself into different situations that can be inspiring for me and help me think, quite frankly. So that's number two. Number one, put it in your calendar. And number two, make sure that where you're doing it is going to help you. It's called environmental design. Design your environment so that you're setting yourself up for success. Number three is to be kind to yourself. You are quite likely going to discover that there are things that you haven't done, things that you intended to do the last season that you're looking at, or the last quarter, or the last 90 days, depending on how you are setting it up. And you will realize you haven't done what you intended to do. That can feel demotivating. You can feel, oh, I failed. It can perhaps even make you feel like, I don't want to do this. This isn't working. This obviously isn't working because I haven't done what I wanted to do. I've felt that. I've even had one or two seasonal reviews that really haven't gone very well. And yet they were good from the point of view that they gave me the opportunity to stop and think, what is going on here? What am I not doing? What do I need to change in my environment so that I can better set myself up for success? What tools do I need in place? Who do I need to support me? What do I need to learn so that I'm more likely to do what it is that I intended to do? And so it can be quite humbling to look at a review. And that's why I say be kind to yourself. Know that you are perfectly imperfect. Yes, perfectly imperfect. You're a human being. And use this as information to help you better set yourself up for success in the coming season. Do not see this as failure and a reason to stop. See it as information, as gold. I like to say, it's gold. I found some treasure. This is information that is going to help me become richer, become more expansive, be able to achieve what it is that I want to achieve. So don't let it discourage you. Use it to your advantage. It's your tool. It's there to help you. Make sure it does. Number 4, do Celebrate when you have finished your seasonal review. When you have taken that time to look back on the last 90 days and see what you've achieved. And yeah, see what you haven't achieved. And then to have taken time to plan the coming season, the coming 3 months, the coming 90 days. Celebrate yourself that you have taken this time for you, for your personal development, for your business and career. I've spoken a lot about business. I use the word business because I'm an entrepreneur. However, this tool is just as useful for people who are employed. So you're looking at the personal side of your life and the professional side of your life. So when I say business, I mean professional side. Number 5, plan the first steps that you are going to be taking in the coming days. Literally within the next week. What is it that you need to do in order to move forward the projects that you've set up for yourself for the coming season? Because if you can take some small steps, then you will already be on the road. You will have that sense of accomplishment and achievement and success. So for example, for us, we wanted to buy some new garden furniture. We have a shade garden and we've been talking about putting a bench there for many, many years. And so we were umming and ahhing and we actually over a number of seasonal reviews were talking about this bench and what we wanted. By having these regular meetings, we were able to keep moving this project forward. So we finally could realize the dream in the way that we wanted to realize it. We've actually stopped and discussed and talked about what is it that is important to us? What is it that we love doing together? What is it that we want to do more together? And how do we best want to use our house and our garden so that it serves the dreams that we have, the desires that we have, the ideas, the plans that we have. For us, the seasonal review has given us a focus that we otherwise haven't had. You could almost say we've been leaving our personal lives to chance, which is kind of silly, really, because when you think about it in a business situation, so if you've got a project or you might have goals to achieve each year, they're very clear and they're measurable and you track them, you follow them, you review them regularly. And that will be quite natural as part of a business. And yet we don't do that for our personal lives, and we're not doing it for the partnerships that we have. So the 5 steps are, number 1, book it in your calendar. Number 2, decide where you're going to do your review. Number 3, be kind to yourself. If you haven't done what you set out to do, use that information to decide what you're going to do in the coming 3 months. Number 4, celebrate. Celebrate that you have taken time for yourself, for your personal and professional development. And if you've done a review together with a partner, celebrate that too, that you have invested time in your relationship together. Number 5, decide on those first vital steps for each of the areas that you have chosen to focus on and have as goals for the coming 3 months. It's important that you take these first few steps within the next 1 to 2 days so that you have this sense that you're hitting the ground running. Now, I started off this podcast episode talking about my project, the year when everything changed. There are a number of things that I am intending to do this year that I've had on my dream list for months, if not years. And actually, one of them I've had on my dream list since I think about 2016. And that is to open an Etsy shop. On that Etsy shop, I'm making the seasonal review tool available to you, and you get to choose. Is it a seasonal review? Is it a 90-day review? Or is it a quarterly review? For those of you that prefer to follow the calendar year, I have created PDF downloadables for each of these situations. So you can start today. The link to the Etsy shop is in the show notes. If you are watching it on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. If you're listening to this podcast on your favorite podcast channel, then please leave a review. And if you are looking to make these next 12 months the year when everything changed in your life, join me in the community, the online community where we support one another, where we are accountability and success partners, where there's a whole bunch of tools that are helping you and supporting you to succeed.